So I would give the floor now to Pavel Lourié, who has joined us again, and he will talk on some خوارزmian, some short خوارزmian texts on silver vessels. I mean, all of you know Pavel Lourié from is it St. Petersburg now or Petersburg? When I grew up, it was, well, it had another name. And thank you, Pavel. The floor is yours, and we are waiting to hear you.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so thank you very much for invitation. First of all, dear Professor Jafari Dehachi, dear Professor Cerretti, for making it possible to organize this conference. I'm sorry for inconvenience for some urgent things I had to do today in this morning, and unfortunately I didn't have a chance to listen to some presentations, especially Carlos' title was very, very inspiring for me. But in any case, I managed to share with you some, I would say, rather preliminary readings of Horace-Mann inscriptions on silver vessels. I'll try to make make my presentation visible. I think this. So do you see something?
Yes, now we see it.
You see it, and I do not see it. Well, no. Okay, so I'm first time with this program, so I use some other used to use some other devices for these distant presentations. We learned them in this year quite intensively. Yes, so let me try to start. So the point is that I do not see my own.
You can try going on the list of persons, and your name will appear twice. Try clicking on the one saying presentation. It may work, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it is going to start. Now, yes. So the presentation is about reading of some Horace-Mann inscriptions on the silver vessels, and as I said, it is quite a preliminary work, and the amount of this text is relatively small. So there are 11 texts known so far in written on silver vessels in the later part of Horace-Mann history, and I don't know what's happening with that. Now I see a little bit, but not everything. The title page, and now it's better. So you see the second slide? Do you see the second slide, sorry?
Yes,
we do.
Yes.
Yeah, so Horace-Mann language, it is one of Iranian languages and maybe not the best known among them, although I would say that there were two important papers in Persian language describing Horace-Mann. One of them was maybe the first publication of Ehsan Yarshater on Horace-Mann language, and recently there was a paper by by Professor Zarchenos about harassment. So it is language of harassment. On the next slide, we will see the map. It is extinct East Iranian language, and it was spoken before 14th century. So from one respect, it belongs to the Middle Iranian languages, to another to the New Iranian languages, because it comprises of two variants: early harassment, which is epigraphy on various surfaces, so mostly on hard material of pre-Islamic period, dating from second or maybe third century before Christ until middle of 8th century, as I'm going to argue now, and also late harassment, which comprises of quotations in Arabic script included into several manuscripts on treatises on jurisprudence, as well as dictionary of Zamakhshari, the native of Khorazm, one of its manuscripts, and some glosses in the compositions of another great son of Horasmia, of Al-Biruni. All the late harassment texts have been edited and are well known. As for early harassment texts, many of them, especially later ones, remain mostly unpublished. So the early texts are written in archaic or as a lapidary script, which is not very much different from its Imperial Aramaic prototype. So they are all on hard material, ostraka, and so on. And the latest among them, with some tendency to cursive script, are documents from Taprakkala, which, as I think, belong to the 3rd century of Common Era. And there are many texts in the later developed cursive script. So they are coins with the title of Marai Malka. We will return to one of these coins later today. Documents from Yekeparsan of 6th century, not edited by now. Ossories from Tokkala, only some part of them have been published, and from Mizdakhan, they are shorter, but they are published, of 7th and 8th century, and finally the inscriptions on the silver vessels. So they're different from early inscription from Ensakhovka. It's completely different period, it's different style, different script, and different variant of script, and so on which I will say today. So location of Horasmia and the finds of the silver. Horasmia, as I said, it's a lower course of Oxus, of Amudarya, of Jehun River in present-day Uzbekistan. Horasmia, the district of Khwarezm, the district of Karakalpakstan, and neighboring parts of Turkmenistan. But as it happens to silver vessels from Sogdia, made by Sogdians, and largely made by Sasanian Persians, they were found all outside the region of Horasmia, very much to the north in the district of present-day Perm, in the western Piedmont of Ural Mountains in Russia. The others were found also in different places distant from Horasmia proper, such as in Dagestan, in Bashkiria, Bashkiria, and so on. So yes. This slide is okay. So there are altogether 11 silver vessels with inscriptions. Five of them are preserved in the Hermitage Museum, and so I have a privilege to check them quite often, and maybe that is why now all of the preliminary readings of all of them have been published. The others are located in other museums. So it shows only one of two slides, I'm afraid. So in the other museums, I will show them later today. Research history. Yakov Ivanovich Smirnov was the first scholar of Oriental silver finds in Russia, who in 1908 published the famous volume on Oriental silver, and including majority of Khwarezmian silver bowls, and he also gave their tracings of all the inscriptions on these silver vessels. Sergei Pavlovich Tolstov, the founder and leader of Khwarezmian expedition, identified the script of the bowls with the script on coins from Khwarezmia, which he has found by that time, and proved their Khwarezmian origin, Khwarezmian identity, which has not been discussed after that. In 1969, Gitya Zarpai had an article with tracings of all the inscriptions, and I follow her numbering. That time she knew 9 inscriptions, now 2 more has came to light. Bader published some new discoveries from Bartim, Perm region, on which I will speak today later. Readings of some words and phrases on inscriptions have been proposed by Walter Bruno Henning and by Vladimir Aronovich Lifshitz, my teacher, and only one inscription has been read as a whole. And these inscriptions have one of the important and easily legible features of them is the dating of inscriptions. Most of them have dates, and discussion on the Khwarezmian era, attested on silver bowls and on many other media, has been discussed by various scholars. Your humble servant in 2018 proposed reading of several words and tentative reading of 3 more bowls, and considerations on some other material, and also on the weight, date, and measurements. So in this paper, I will try to expand my article of 2018, adding some new attempts at reading. But of course, in this work, I will have to return from time to time to the earlier readings of mine. And maybe to recapitulate, again, I do not see my own presentation. It's a bit complicated. I don't know why. So you see the Khwarezmian the bowls with inscriptions in other museums. One of the best one probably is in the British Museum. One is now in the State Museum of Kazakhstan. One in Moscow in State Historical Museum, and 3 others in the Perm Regional Museum, so in Ural Mountains. Yes, so they are written, as I said, in the cursive variety of Khwarezmian script, which is one of the developments of Aramaic prototype, like Middle Persian, Parthian, Sogdian, and as other the variants of this script witness as well, it had a tendency to cursive script, so to joining of letters. And many of the letters, first of all, many letters look very much similar to one another. In the late Khwarezmian script, I give here examples from silver vessels and from ossuaries from Tok Kala, the other large group of later Khwarezmian inscriptions. And some of them join to the right, some of them no. The problem is that some letters like P or Z in some situation do join to the left, and in some other, and in some cases do not. So reading these inscriptions, giving this the limited material, the absence of bilinguals, and the ambiguity of script is largely a guesswork. And so it's not the first time I'm presenting the bulk of this material for the public, and every time I approach it, I add some native reading of 2 words, and then I reject 1 or 2 words of my previous readings because I consider it not very sure. So in any case, recapitulating what I read before, inscription number 2, a rather ugly goddess with a fire altar next to her. The inscription is here 570. Maltsiri, this is Tir. Dever, it is Meher in Persian. This vessel is from Vun Sharrakch, son of Harak, a good Horasmian name for fire deity. As I read it, it is 30 sterics, joy. The most questionable word here is joy. Fire deity Atartsankvar is rather sure. The next text is in pointillized script, and so it's not very easy to read. This vessel of Vantanya from somebody named like Nashim, something like that, and then weight or price cast some amount of stairs, as it was the zuzna, which is dirham in Middle Persian, in Sogdian was probably pronounced as stair. Another one was read as God's property for 167 sterics, or as I think another possibility is of Gatik. In that case, the word Gatik is not clear. Price is for 167 sterics. Now it doesn't work. And two other vessels from the Hermitage collection is one of them. This vessel is from Urmuz Vandek, the doer of something like Arash Karik. Nobody knows what is that. Would be very good to read it as silversmith. To Ganit for receiving, as I think. There can be many alternatives. Its weight, its price, Zamhi Zamana in Avestan is 45 sterics. And another one which was read basically by my teacher Lifshitz is Wafernak Shiran Hiyan Abd Hiyan Ikta. Wafernek, son of Shir, for them it is done. His patronymy Shiranu, written quite clear, has a good parallel in Buruni's list of Horasmian kings. In the standard edition of Asar al-Baghiyeh, of Zahau, the variant Sabri is given, but in the very old Istanbul manuscript, instead of Sabri, we read Shiri, which is a common clerical error in Arabic script manuscript. So maybe the owner of this bull was the son of the king of Horasmia, or his namesake. In any case, and now we go to the relatively new material. Yes, I have to go to 2 pages forward and then 1 back. So like I read these inscriptions, I read 2 words, and then I reject reading of 1 word in an optimistic situation. So there is 3 bulls with 4-armed goddess on lion. She's holding sun and moon in 2 of her hands, and she is very similar to the depictions of Nanaya, Nani, the deity of Mesopotamian origin, especially in Sogdian art, but to an extent in Bactrian art as well. So she is sitting on the lion, and there are some also iconography is very similar. There is some variations. So, for example, in some cases the lion is standing, in some cases the lion is reclining, her feet are treated in different way. The sun in one of her hands is sometimes is like a cake, sometimes it's like a face, as you can see, but the inscriptions are very similar to one another. And the thing that helped me reading these inscriptions is basically a very similar, the appearance on one and the same of many similar words on different inscriptions, and the existence on one and the same formulary. Also, I have to confess it's very preliminary and there are very many question marks. Yeah, so and another vessel I'm going to discuss now was also found in Bartim in Perm region in Taiga of Ural. It's in State Historical Museum in Moscow, and it shows two lions that hold a box on them, and it is supposed to be a Sogdian ossuary, like the one from Misdah Khan, which I photographed in the Nukus Museum in Karachi, Pakistan. But the formulary and the wording is rather similar. So this is four inscriptions I am analyzing today, and you see I mentioned the words like A, B, C, D, and N for numbers and so on. So these are repeated words that appear here and there, and so you can recognize that the texts usually follow one and the same pattern, one on the same formulary, which is normal for these for inscriptions on silver vessels. But the formulary is quite large, and it's larger than standard formulas in Middle Persian silver vessels or Sogdian silver vessels. So now let me present you some preliminary readings of them and comments on some words. So this bull number 1 in the British Museum, I thank St. John Simpson, who permitted me to work with this item when I was in London 3 or 4 years ago. Transliteration begins for a standard ideogram for harassment sarv. Here, then it is number 700, only 700 without further details. Apvantan, the word which was read by Lifshitz, which means a water container, a bowl. This Apvantan ya is definitive article in postposition, or is rather isafe, from min in harassment. Hutal vand, slave of God. Shahi Khan, son of Shahi. Their explanation is not very easily. Then ideogram al, which stands for harassment f, to, towards. Then the word which I read as farnhund, glorious, a similar word that we know in Sogdian very well, and it came into Persian in the form farhunde. And this next word is nani, which means actually Nanaya. So the goddess on lion holding son of the moon. So this is an ambiguous reference that this deity was named Nanaya, and this bull and other bulls like this were devoted to her, like both in iconography and in inscription. The next word is difficult. One of possibilities to read wanani, an adjective from root one, victorious. Another possibility is to read it as a half ideographic Rabbani, Rab for with an for late harassment Kalan. It is considered to be a Persian loan, but in Persian nobody, the etymology is not established, so maybe it came into harassment rather early. There are compounds with harassment second part and Kalan in the beginning in late harassment text. It's just an alternative. For another al, Azan Farni, as I read it, they were a rather doubtful word. Noble glory, Azan, like Middle Persian Manichaean Azan, Armenian Aznavur, as we know, this famous singer, a noble one, to the noble glory. The next words are the best, the worst nightmare here, well, I would rather say that I don't know what is it. Very tentative hypothesis is to read it Tarsu Nashchi, the neglecting, disdain of fear. But I fear to take it as a serious reading. The next two words are better, aburtak, whole, complete, or here accomplished, late harassment award, join, assemble, path, and amward. and so on. And the last word, the next word is clear. Agadek, wish, passion, desire, like in Sogdian and in Parthe and Bactrian Agalgo, Takarian Akalk, and so on. So for accomplishment of wishes. And now the amount, the price of silver is 40 sterix. Next I am going to speak is the inscription number 10, which was not known when Gitya Zarpai published her article with tracings, but the formula is very similar. In the year 714, so it's 14 years later, this vessel is from Zaryan, the grace of 1000, a good Iranian name, and the patronymy is even better because it's undoubtedly, without doubt, Asman Vandek, the slave of the sky, the slave of celestial God. I was happy that to know when I worked with Archive of Lifshitz that he also recognized this word, this name several years ago, but did not publish it. So from Zaryan, son of Asman Vande, to the glorious Nanaya, the same words, the same Nanaya on the lion, just lion is standing and not sitting. The next word is also just a guess. Banai may be something related to ban, light, the lighting, the shining one. And after that, we see a complex ideogram, Al and Z. So this complex ideogram, as far as I could judge, doesn't appear in Aramaic. It doesn't appear in other Middle Iranian writing varieties, but it could be based in Khwarezmian soil. El is preposition f in late Khwarezmian, and Z is logically to suppose that it corresponds to article or to ezafe, as some call it, E in Khwarezmian, and f with E is very, very common in late Khwarezmian, and it turns into fi in masculine gender. And so this al-Z would stand for fi, in there. Shabrachi, probably related to late Khwarezmian Tsivar, Atibar, Hintun, Zufügen, to add something, or Sogdian counterpart is the Tvar, which is to give gifts, to offer something with adjective suffix. To the surplus of glory, I would say. And again, for accomplished wish, our Takagadak, and then again the amount, and again it's also 40 sterix. And maybe I will manage to show another paper, another vessel. Yes, this is number 11, the last find from Bartim. Its tracing has never been published, and I thank Eduard Churilov from Perm Museum who sent me good photos, and I have to go there to Perm to study them in situ, I hope. So again, it starts with ideogram Bishint. It should be written in capital letters, of course. In the year 720, this vessel is from the reading Vishnasp is not really clear, so Pe is rather bad, but I think it could be Gushnasp, Vishnasp in Middle Iranian pronunciation, son of Agamek, term, time, somebody who was born in time, a name like that. For the glorious Nanaya, the same wording, and This is the next word is also a guesswork. It's I try to read it Thekashnani. Th is had a width, and Kashn is Kashna shape. So the one that has shape, the one who is beautiful. A similar compound is attested in Sogdian or Karshan, splendor or column of glory in Manichaean usages. And for their surplus of glory, and for all wishes, for all wishes, for accomplishment of all wishes. Its price is 30 sterix. So this one is small. And finally, the next bull, which has a different image on it and a different god's name, and I would say that there are many places remain unclear on that. Also, it follows the very same formula. So we start with the year. The year is probably 723. Also, there is a lacuna here. Apvantan, yeah, this vessel to the glorious Alfarhund, and here we don't have Nanaya, which is not a surprise, which we don't have Nanaya on the image. So the name of the god can be written like Arzuk or Adbik or something like that, and I cannot give an explanation. Then the next two short lines can be read as article or Isafe Z for late Khorazmian E Katori, so it's in masculine here. Sam Psarak, another unclear word, just a guess. It could be related to Sogdian Simpatsar or Middle Persian Simpasare, a magician, a loan word from Middle Indic, from Sanskrit Samvatsara. Then from somebody, their name is unclear, Bis, like that, I cannot explain it, or Nis. The father's name is Achshum Yanan, the glory of Achshum. Achshum is a deity Chshum in Sogdian or Shamago in Bactrian, probably a goddess of moon. As I tried to show elsewhere, interestingly, it survives even today in the pagan religion of Dardic people of Kalasha. Kshumai. There is a goddess Kshumai who lives somewhere in the high mountains, even higher than the places where the Kalasha people usually live. So it's another topic, of course. To there are the accomplishment of wishes, and to the surplus of glory, sorry, and to the accomplishment our task. But Agade, for some reason, maybe it there was no place on the rim of the vessel, so the last word wish, which one would expect, is lost here. And also this silver, this weight is 35 sterix. So that's, I have to confess that here I have much more questions than in other silver vessels, which are also not very clear either. So what was the usage of these silver vessels and these dedicatory inscriptions? Of course, dedicatory inscriptions in silver are quite common all over the world, and probably the closest parallel is an inscription on a Roman bull with very sophisticated subject related to Greek tragedies, Euripides tragedies, but the inscriptions is not related to it. And this plate was purchased for the goat Mana, which is Bahman, by certain Sen Gul, the son of Free Gul, the satrap. And with respect to the harvest or profit or taxes of the year, 43 from the vineyard and from the villages, this is the income belonging for the god Mana. We can see that the dedicatory formula here is different, but there are many common features, which leads us to the question which I will not discuss now. Probably I have exceeded my time as already, to the question of the economy of temples in Iran. So we have much material about that in Madigani Khazar Dadistan. There are some Bactrian documents which confirm the the observations on temples as economical units in Iranian world before Islam. And also these vessels show that the dedications to the gods was given, and later on they appeared outside Khwarezmia proper somewhere, and interestingly in the context with Khwarezmian coins. So almost contemporarily, when they were donated to the temple in the course of a generation maximum, they were given for trade somewhere very far in the northwest of Khwarezmia for exchange of furs or something like that. And the last point I would like to show today, it's also a recapitulation of what has been done already, that we can estimate the weight of the vessels, and we have its value written in the Zuzna, which was probably pronounced Sterik in Sogdian. And it appears in the case of number 1, 4, 8, 9, and 10 that they have a very similar feature of 3.6 to 3.7 grams, is the value of 1 Sterik. And 4 of them are dated. So 4 of them are dated to the years 700 to 723. And if we look to the diagram of the weights of silver coins of Khwarezmian kings, which lasted through not 700 but at least 500 years, we can see that the weight of between 3 and 4 grams is attested only among the coins of Shaushfarn or Shaoshifen. Hopefully we know about this ruler more than about others. His name is recorded by Biruni. His name is written on his coins, and most importantly, he sent 2 embassies of Khwarezm to China in 750 and 762. And only coins with the weight of circa 7,678 grams belong to his rule. And so production of the bulls, at least number 1, 4, 8, 9, and 10, was which are dated between years 700 and 723, belong to the period of Shaushfarn, which is middle of the 8th century. Probably he ruled longer than 12 years, maybe 25 years, maybe even 30. But in any case, we can estimate the beginning of Khwarezmian era was somewhere in the first half of the 1st century of Common Era, as it was supposed on other grounds by other scholars like Lifshitz, Gudkova, Weinberg, and others. Also some other scholars, Henning and Minardi, recently don't agree with the date, but I think I provide here a good good testimony for that. And so we can expect that these silver vessels were produced in the period of the rule of Shaushfarn, whose coin I reproduce here as well. So thank you very much for your attention, and sorry if I was too long, and sorry for some problems with presentations. I now try to finish my presentation of my screen. I think I did it.
Yes, thank you very much, Pavel. We are running quite late. As a matter of fact, we are running exactly half an hour late, which is, of course, mainly my fault. So I would ask you, if there are no specific questions, if we can move on to the paper by Dr. Benedikt Peschle, who is I see there is a question by Rosie Tassob. If it's necessary and you can make it shorter, Dr. Tassob.
Pavel, can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Oh, great. Thank you very much for your presentation. We learned a lot. I have a question regarding with the plate with depiction of Nanaya, which is quite similar to those of Kushan arts, specifically on seals, as you may know. I didn't exactly get the chronology that you suggested at the end. So you assigned some numbers to the plates, but I don't know which number that a specific plane was assigned to. So which chronology or dating are you suggesting for that plate?
Yes, yes, so this weight and this date, which are quite uniform, appears on 2 or 3 plates with Nanaya, and so at least these 2 plates I am tending to date to the rule of Shaoxuan, which is middle of the 8th century. The third bull with Nanaya is a bit problematic because their value of drachm is different. Also, the style and so on is quite similar, and the formulary is quite similar to the others. So maybe just a little later or earlier.
I meant specifically with depiction of seated lion.
So there are 2 ones with seated lion.
One of them was seated lion, and one of them was a standing lion.
So seated lion, yes. So it's okay. Year 700 and the value of drachm of Shaoxuan. This is quite clear. The one with standing lion, so the date is also okay, 713. But the problem is that no, the number 10 with standing lion is also very fine. And the third one also with a slightly distorted with Nanaya on seated lion. So it is here 720, but the value of drachm is not exactly the same.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. We will now move on to Benedict Peschle. And to his paper. Any other question can be asked on a bilateral basis, so we can at least, well, I won't say have lunch, but at least have tea by 5 or 5:30.